what does it truly mean for something or, someone to actually understand a meaning? It's this, well, this huge question. Philosophers, AI researchers, they've been wrestling with it for decades. And that's where we're plunging in for this deep dive.
Yeah, it really gets to the heart of it. It's the challenge we call the symbol grounding problem, or SGP.
It's SGP, right.
Basically, how do computers, these symbol systems, connect their internal symbols, words, concepts, whatever, to actual meaning, to stuff out there in the real world?
And it's not just philosophy, is it? It's fundamental.
Absolutely. It's about building genuinely intelligent systems, not just clever mimics.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting because of your insight, the point you raised with us. You asked, what if humans are also only, let's say, partially grounded?
Exactly.
We also see the world through, limited senses. There's this, you called it a thin film of separation between us and raw physical reality. That really struck me.
It's a profound point. And that's our mission today, really, to explore that parallel, AI's grounding problem and our own sort of human condition of being grounded.
So we'll look at similarities, differences.
Yeah, unpack the structural similarities, the qualitative differences, and then using that perspective, maybe chart a course for how LLMs, large language models, could evolve.
Not just a technical roadmap, then.
No. Hopefully more like a fresh perspective on intelligence itself for both us and AI. We think LLMs might get towards deeper understanding through, well, 3 key things: deep embodiment, coherent world models, and metaphorical scaffolding.
Okay, deep embodiment, coherent world models, metaphorical scaffolding. Got it. Let's get into it.
That was good.
So to really get this, we probably need to start on the AI side. Back with Stephen Harvanad, the cognitive scientist.
Right, Harvanad. He formally defined the SGP back in 1990. His core question was, how can a formal system like a computer program get meaning intrinsically?
Intrinsically, meaning like from within itself.
Exactly. Without just relying on us humans to tell it what its symbols point to, not just being parasitic on our understanding.
Okay.
He had this great analogy, the Chinese dictionary one. Imagine trying to learn Chinese using only a Chinese to Chinese dictionary.
Uh-huh.
You look up a word, its definition, just more Chinese words you don't know.
Right, you look those up.
And you get more Chinese words. You just go round and round forever, wouldn't you? Never actually understanding what any single word means.
The symbol merry-go-round, I see.
That's what he called it.
So for an AI, take the word zebra. It's not the actual animal.
No, not initially. It's just a symbol. Maybe it's linked to horse and striped.
But if horse and striped are also just ungrounded symbols floating around,
then zebra stays completely isolated from reality.
Yeah.
The AI never, experiences anything zebra-like. It never connects the symbol to the world.
it never takes the cake, as you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So Harvanad's idea to fix this was a hybrid model. Combine the symbols with sensor motor systems. Give the AI senses, basically.
Like eyes and hands, metaphorically.
Sort of, yeah. He talked about iconic representations. That's the raw sensory data, like the pixels from seeing an apple.
Okay.
And then categorical representations, which are abstracted features, like recognizing red and round from lots of different apple images.
Building meaning from the bottom up, from sensory experience.
That was the idea. Connect symbols directly to the real world.
And it's fascinating because a decade before Harvanad, the philosopher John Searle hit on this from a different angle with his Chinese room argument, right? 1980.
Yes, Searle's thought experiment. It's classic, sets the philosophical stage perfectly.
So remind us, an English speaker knows no Chinese, stuck in a room.
Right, but they have this incredibly detailed rule book. It tells them exactly which Chinese symbols to output based on the Chinese symbols that come in.
So from the outside, it looks like they understand Chinese. They're having conversation.
Looks like it, but inside. The person has zero comprehension. They're just shuffling symbols according to rules.
Yeah.
Syntax.
And Searle's big point was,
syntax is not sufficient for semantics. Just manipulating symbols, following rules, that's syntax. It doesn't magically create real meaning. Semantics.
Which, wow, brings us straight to today's LLMs, like ChatGPT.
Doesn't just you could argue they're like a planetary scale Chinese room.
How so?
Well, they learn statistical patterns, co-occurrences from unbelievable amounts of text, and they generate incredibly fluent human-like language. They can pass the Turing test sometimes.
They really feel like they understand.
I do. But does that fluency equal genuine understanding in Searle's sense? That's the burning question.
And interestingly, if you ask the models themselves.
Yeah, sometimes they'll tell you. They'll say something like, I don't have true understanding in a human sense. That programmed acknowledgement of limitation kind of points right back to the SGP, doesn't it?
It really does. So this whole problem, SGP, it fundamentally rocked early AI, didn't it? Back in the 50s, Joe FAI, good old-fashioned AI,
Right, the symbolic approach.
they assumed intelligence was basically just symbol manipulation, like playing chess.
Pretty much. They tried to encode facts and rules about the world. And it worked okay for, like, chess, where everything is symbols and rules.
But the real world.
The real world is messy, ambiguous. Jokey AI struggled, tried to define apple. It just becomes a symbol linked to other symbols, fruit, red, round, but never the actual thing you bite into. The SGP showed the limits.
And that forced a big shift.
A huge paradigm shift, yeah. Led to two major waves, really.
Which were?
First, connectionism, inspired by how brains work, neural networks, learning patterns from data. That path leads directly to deep learning in today's LLMs.
Okay, connectionism. And the second?
Embodied AI. This camp emphasizes the body, interaction with the environment, meaning it doesn't just happen in the brain. It emerges from a physical agent acting and perceiving in the world.
So the SGP wasn't just talk, it actively shaped AI's technical path.
Absolutely. And now the huge success of LLMs, which are peak connectionism in a way, brings Searle's Chinese room right back into focus. The problem is definitely not solved.
Okay, that's a really helpful picture of the AI side. But now let's flip it. Let's look in that mirror. What about us? This goes back to your insight. Listener humans also perceive reality within limits, this certain bandwidth.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
Cognitive science tells us our perception isn't like a perfect video camera. It's filtered.
Filtered by our body.
Through the prism of our biology, yeah. Our senses have built-in limits. We only see visible light, hear certain frequencies. We experience what philosophers call a phenomenal world, not raw physical reality itself. Our bodies actively construct our experience.
Which leads us to embodied cognition. This school of thought really pushes back against the old mind as software idea, right?
It does. It argues our thinking, our cognition is deeply rooted in our body's physical structure, our senses, our ability to move, and how we constantly interact with the world around us. It's not just abstract computation in the skull.
Right.
Language is a great example. You read a sentence like, "He hammered the nail." Your brain actually activates motor areas involved in the physical act of hammering. It suggests language meaning isn't purely abstract. It's kind of simulated, grounded in our sensory-motor system.
So the mind isn't just in the brain.
Maybe it's better to think of it as distributed across the brain, the body, and its ongoing relationship with the environment. True grounding, then, isn't just connecting sensors to symbols. It's about the whole loop, an embodied agent acting purposefully in its world.
Going deeper, you mentioned the philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty.
Yes, his phenomenology is incredibly relevant here. He strongly rejected that old mind-body split. For him, we are fundamentally beings in the world, experiencing everything through our bodies.
He talked about body schema.
Right, that's our implicit, almost automatic sense of our body in space. It's how you can just reach for a doorknob without thinking about the exact trajectory or muscle contractions.
Okay, and intentionality.
That consciousness isn't just locked inside our heads looking out. It's always directed towards things in the world, through our perception and our actions. Meaning arises right there, in that active bodily engagement with the world.
The cup example helped me here. The meaning of a cup isn't just, cylindrical, made of glass.
For Merleau-Ponty, it's more about its affordances, what your body can do with it.
Right. I can drink from it, hold pens in it, maybe even use it as a makeshift drum. The meaning comes from that practical interaction.
Precisely. So human grounding, unlike a lot of AI approaches that just map data, is dynamic. It's centered on the acting body in its life world, a world full of possibilities for action.
Think about kids learning language.
Yeah, exactly. They don't just see pictures of things. They learn by grabbing things, pointing, interacting with caregivers, sharing experiences. Words get connected to these shared physical moments.
Which brings us back again to your point, listener. Humans being only partially grounded. This is so key.
It is. Because first, yes, our grounding is imperfect. Our knowledge is limited by our body, our perspective. We don't see everything.
But maybe that's not just a limitation.
That's the crucial second point. Maybe that very imperfection is what makes human grounding so rich. Our understanding isn't an objective data dump. It's a narrative woven by our living, acting bodies navigating the world.
So for LLMs, the question isn't just add more sensors for perfect data.
Right. It's more like, should we be designing them as subjects with their own form of body, capable of purposeful action, generating meaning from their own experiences, however limited.
That's a huge shift in perspective, which naturally leads us to AI's current challenges in trying to bridge this gap, moving from imitation towards some form of embodiment.
Yeah, and a lot of the current debate revolves around the distributional hypothesis.
Which is?
The idea that a word's meaning comes from the words it hangs out with, its context. King appears near queen, power, throne. LLMs are brilliant at learning these relationships, building this vast network of, let's call it, relational or structural meaning.
But that led to the stochastic parrots critique.
Right. Emily Bender and others argued LLMs are basically just incredibly sophisticated parrots. They mimic statistical patterns in the data without any real understanding of what the words refer to.
Which explains things like hallucinations,
Yeah.
making stuff up.
Exactly. Or reflecting biases in the training data. If you don't grasp the underlying meaning, you can't really judge truth or fairness or appropriateness. You just predict the next likely word.
But then on the flip side, you have these emergent abilities people observed.
Yeah, Jason Wei and others noticed that really, really big LLMs start doing things they weren't explicitly trained for, like solving complex math problems or answering sophisticated questions. Unexpected capabilities just emerge.
So are they parrots or are they learning something real?
Well, maybe it's not strictly either. They definitely acquire that relational structural meaning within the language system. They know how words relate to other words.
But SGP is about connecting to the world.
Precisely. SGP is about referential meaning, experiential meaning, tying symbols to things and experiences. Emergent abilities might look like understanding, they might simulate it very well, but it's probably not true grounding in the physical, experiential sense.
Okay, so the obvious next step seems to be adding other senses, right? Vision, sound, which brings us to multimodal LLMs.
MLLM? That's the logical progression, yeah. Link the language symbols with, say, visual data. Connect the text red apple to actual images of red apples.
Giving them eyes, essentially.
Kind of. It connects symbols to visual patterns, giving them a sense of what the world looks like. But there's a catch with current MLLMs.
Which is?
They're mostly learning correlations, not causation. It sees clouds and rain together in pictures and text, so it links them. But does it understand that clouds cause rain? Probably not.
Ah, okay. It sees a picture of a cup.
But doesn't grasp its function you drink from it or its physical properties. It breaks if you drop it. It's still a bit shallow. We call it shallow grounding. Better than text alone, but still far from solving the SGP fully.
So to get deeper, we need action. Embodied AI.
That seems to be the frontier. Using physical bodies, robots that actively interact with the world, meaning emerges from the loop of acting and seeing the results of that action.
Like Google's Saycan.
Saycan is a great example. It connects the LLM's language smarts, the say part, understanding commands, with the robot's actual physical abilities, the can part.
So it translates clean up that spill into actual robot movement.
Exactly. But crucially, it considers what the robot can realistically do in that specific environment. It bridges language command to possible physical actions.
And then there's RT2, Robotic Transformer 2.
Yeah, from Google DeepMind. That's a vision language action model, a VLA. It learns from both web data text and images and data from actual robot actions.
So it connects web knowledge to robot actions.
It tries to transfer grounding. It might learn from the web that tired people like energy drinks. Then in a real setting, it can see different drinks on a table and choose the energy drink for the tired person, even if it never saw that exact scene during robot training. That's a step toward more flexible, grounded behavior.
Okay, so if we compare these approaches, text-only LLMs are
Grounded only in text, great at structural meaning within language, but still on that symbol merry-go-round, closed system.
multimodal LLMs.
Grounded in text, images, audio. They map correlations, get some referential understanding, symbol to perception.
Yeah.
But it's often shallow grounding, correlation, not causation, viewing a static world.
And embodied AI.
Grounded in the physical world via action and sensing, learns through sensoromotor loops, has the potential for deeper causal functional understanding, maybe even generating metaphors. But it's hard. High learning costs, the sim-to-real gap, scalability issues.
Right. It's clear there's no single magic bullet here.
Definitely not.
Okay, so embodied AI seems great for physical tasks, grab the cup. But what about abstract concepts? How does an AI grasp justice or save time? You can't physically grab those.
That's the wall, isn't it? Physical experience seems necessary, but it's not enough for abstract thought. How do you build that ladder from the concrete ground to the abstract sky?
This is where metaphor comes in. Lakoff and Johnson.
Exactly. Their conceptual metaphor theory is, I think, incredibly insightful here. They argued that we humans understand abstract concepts, the target domain, by mapping them onto more concrete bodily experiences, the source domain.
And metaphor isn't just poetry, it's fundamental to how we think.
That's the claim. It's a core cognitive tool.
Like the famous argument is war example.
Right. We attack weak points, defend our position, win or lose debates. We structure our understanding of abstract argument using the concrete physical experience of conflict.
Or time is money. We spend time, waste it, save it, invest it.
We grasp the abstract concept of time by mapping it onto the concrete, familiar concept of a limited resource, money.
Ideas are food.
Yeah, a theory might be hard to digest, an idea half-baked, a paper palatable. We use the bodily experience of consuming food to understand the mental act of processing ideas.
So our abstract thought isn't disconnected from our bodies at all.
According to this theory, no. It's built hierarchically on top of our bodily experience, using countless metaphorical mappings, these ladders. Our grounding is both direct, physical interaction, and indirect metaphorical structure.
Okay, so for AI, how do we get there? Current LLMs can use metaphors they've seen, right? They can mimic them.
They can mimic them brilliantly. But do they understand the underlying mapping? Do they grasp the bodily source? Probably not. For AI to truly ground abstract concepts, it needs to go beyond just using metaphors. It needs to learn to create them.
Create metaphors? How would that even work?
It's a huge challenge. Step one, I think, is deep embodiment. The AI needs rich, diverse, bodily, spatial, dynamic experiences. It needs to deeply learn schemas related to space, force, movement, containment, temperature. These are the raw materials, the source domains for metaphors.
Okay, get the embodied foundation first. Then what?
Step two might be analogical mapping. When it encounters a new abstract concept in language, it would need to analyze its structure. Then, search its own library of embodied schemas for one that has a similar structure.
Find a physical analogy?
Kind of. And then hypothesize a new metaphor based on that structural similarity. Like, this complex social problem feels structurally like that leaky container I dealt with.
Wow. Okay. And step three, how does it know if the metaphor is any good?
Validation. It would need to evaluate if the metaphor is actually helpful for understanding the abstract concept or for reasoning about it, perhaps using its coherent world model to check if the implications of the metaphor make sense.
So this isn't just scaling up current LLMs. This sounds like a much more complex hybrid architecture.
I think it has to be. Specialized modules for embodiment, for world modeling, for this kind of analogical reasoning and metaphor generation.
Which brings us nicely to the horizon then. What does this integrated future look like, these three pillars?
Right, for LLMs to really move from that sea of symbols to the shore of meaning, they need integrated development across these three areas.
So pillar one, deep embodiment again, but going beyond simple loops.
Yeah, not just move arm, sense touch, think richer experiences, learning from success, failure, dealing with unexpected obstacles, maybe even discovering novel solutions. This deeper situated learning could create internal states that are functionally analogous to things like goals, predictions, maybe even rudimentary drives or motivations in humans, adding real depth to action.
Okay. Then pillar two, coherent world models. Tackling the hallucination problem head on.
Exactly. Current LLM knowledge is often patchy, inconsistent. They lack a robust internal model of how the world works. Future systems should integrate linguistic knowledge with things like physics simulators or causal reasoning engines.
So if the LLM says the iron block floated upwards,
the world model says, hang on, gravity doesn't work like that. It provides corrective feedback. This self-consistency check is vital for moving from just generating plausible text to actually holding consistent beliefs about the world.
And pillar three, metaphorical scaffolding, the big long-term challenge.
The most ambitious, probably. First, achieve that deep embodiment to get the source schemas. Second, develop the ability to analyze abstract concepts and find structural analogies in those embodied schemas generating new metaphors. Third, use the coherent world model to validate if these generated metaphors are useful and consistent. It really points towards a hybrid cognitive architecture.
And all of this loops back beautifully to your original insight, listener, that thin film of separation, the fact that humans are also only partially grounded.
It's so important. Maybe the goal for AI shouldn't be omniscience, perfect grounding. That's impossible for us too. We're finite.
So instead of perfect knowledge,
we should aim for an open intelligence, one that knows it has limits, that acknowledges that thin film of separation. An AI that understands its knowledge is provisional, potentially wrong.
So it wouldn't make absolute claims. It might express uncertainty.
Exactly. Maybe it says, I'm only 70% confident about this, or based on my current model, this seems likely, but I might be missing factors. It could even actively seek more information through dialogue or even physical experiments when it knows its understanding is shaky.
That reframes LLM mistakes, doesn't it? Hallucinations aren't just bugs to squash.
They become potentially valuable signals, insights into the AI's current internal model, its grounding state. An AI that can manage its uncertainty, communicate it, and learn from its errors that seems much safer, more reliable, and ultimately more intelligent than striving for an impossible error-free perfection.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've seen the symbol grounding problem isn't just an AI problem. It mirrors deep questions about our own human condition, our own imperfect grounding.
Yeah, the SGP was about AI finding a way out of the symbolic Chinese room, reaching the shore of reality. Embodied AI, in a sense, gave AI a ship to actually touch that shore.
But just landing isn't enough. Static multimodal grounding is just touching the shore.
Right. The next steps are actively engaging with that shore that's deep embodiment, drawing reliable maps based on those explorations, coherent world models, and then, crucially, learning the navigation skills to explore the abstract inland using those maps' metaphorical scaffolding.
And our compass for all this comes from that parallel you highlighted, listener, between human and AI grounding. The goal isn't a perfect machine.
No, maybe the goal is a creative explorer. An intelligence like us that acknowledges its limits, its thin film, and generates meaning through that very engagement with the world.
So the true future isn't just bigger models, more parameters.
Perhaps not. Perhaps it lies in this ongoing adventure of grounding knowledge, an adventure that constantly acknowledges and strives to bridge that thin film of separation between any mind, biological or artificial, and the vastness of reality.